you can watch me reading a book. I think what I'm reading is pretty smart. I think I'm programming myself with positive neurolinguistics and taking a diet, from this app. But really, the people who don't come to the app are the ones who give me the diet, because now they're doing something else as opposed to being on here and road raging and using profanity and vulgarity and negative neurolinguistic programming on you over and over and over again. But as soon as you hold a candle or a flashlight to them, they run away and they don't want to be recorded being, insane on this app, screaming like a madman. So to me, there is a fine line between hate speech and free speech, but it's up to the moderators. If you're doing education, it's education. If you're creating gossip and drama, then it's the Jerry Springer Show, and it's your responsibility.
Brought to you by our congressional hopeful, John Kitover.
After having spent 5 years... utmost emptiness.
Brian, what's up?
Single-heartedly to interior peace, while
signal now.
Together.
I think we'd be way better off after 2025 because they call for drought and
for flourishing as they do, each of them will return to its root. To return to the root is to find peace.
What's not going to happen? I'm just clarifying. I'm clarifying. What are you saying is not going to happen? Climate change. Climate change.
And knowledge of autistic people.
Oh, it's like an empty bowl, which in being used can never be filled up. Fathomless, it seems to be the origin of all things. It blunts all sharp edges, it unties all tangles, it harmonizes all lights, it unites the world into one whole. Hidden in the deeps, yet it seems to exist forever. You do not know whose child it is. It seems to be the common ancestor of all, the father of things. Heaven and earth is not sentimental. It treats all things as straw dogs. The sage is not sentimental. He treats all his people as straw dogs. Between heaven and earth there seems to be a bellows. It is empty, yet it is inexhaustible. The more it works, the more comes out of it. No amount of words can fathom it. Better look for it within you. The spirit of the fountain dies not. It is called the mysterious feminine. The doorway of the mysterious feminine is called the root of heaven and earth. Lingering like gossamer, it has only a hint of existence, and yet when you draw upon it, it is inexhaustible. Heaven lasts long, and earth abides. What is the secret of their durability? It is not because they do not live for themselves that they can live so long. Therefore, the sage wants to remain behind, but finds himself at the head of others, reckons himself out, finds himself safe and secure. Is it not because he is selfless that his self is realized? Highest form of goodness is like water. Water knows how to benefit all things without striving with them. It stays in places loathed by all men. Therefore it comes near the Tao, choosing your dwelling, know how to keep to the ground. In cultivating your mind, know how to dive in the hidden deeps. In dealing with others, know how to be gentle and kind. In speaking, know how to keep your words. In governing, know how to maintain order. In transacting business, know how to be efficient. In making a move, know how to choose the right moment. If you do not strive with others, you will be free from blame. We should look at its inner essence. As always manifest, we should look at its outer aspects. These two flow from the same source, though differently named. Both are called mysteries. The mystery of mysteries is the door of all essence. Tao can be talked about, but not the eternal Tao. Names can be named, but not the eternal name. Is the origin of heaven and earth, it is nameless. Is the mother of all things, it is nameable. So is ever hidden, we should look at its inner essence. Is always manifest, we should look at its outer aspects. These two flow from the same source, though differently named. Both are called mysteries. The mystery of mysteries is the door of all essence. When all the world recognizes beauty as beauty, this in itself is ugliness. When all the world recognizes good as good, this in itself is evil. Indeed, the hidden and the manifest give birth to each other. Difficult and easy complement each other. Long and short exhibit each other. High and low set measure to each other. Voice and sound harmonize each other. Back and front follow each other. Therefore the sage manages his affairs without ado. Spreads his teaching without talking. He denies nothing to the teeming things. He rears them, but lays no claim to them. He does his work, but sets no store by it. He accomplishes his task, but does not dwell upon it. And yet it is just because he does not dwell on it that nobody can ever take it away from him. By not exalting the talented, you will cause the people to cease from rivalry and contention. By not prioritizing goods hard to get, you will cause the people to cease from robbing and stealing. By not displaying what is desirable, you will cause the people's hearts to remain undisturbed. Therefore, the sage's way of governing begins by emptying the heart of desires, filling the belly with food, weakening the ambition, toughening the bow.
You could dream any span of time. You could dream 75 years of time. Or money to deserve that. And like you look, you just sure, no. But when it comes to Roger, here's the thing about Roger though. Amazing. Now, this neck beard, basically, you can't see how it's off. Trying to do
I'm more talking about like sport. There's all kinds of interpretations out within Islam as well, you know. But what do the books say? You know, what does the law say? Kind of thing.
I'm sorry, which law? Sharia law?
Yeah.
God, so,
Hey moderators. Hey moderator. Serendipity. This is John. If you could put me in the queue after Rick, thanks.
Hey, John, check your back channel.
I mean, are we joking or I don't know?
What's that, John?
Are we playing here or are we talking for real? I don't know.
I think he's talking for very real.
Okay, I don't know. For real, I understand what you're saying. I respect it. It is absolutely not true.
He's he's on the phone, so he's not hearing you right now.
I think he's trying to be a real troll, to be honest with you. I don't know him either.
I thought it was goo, but I don't think it is goo. I keep flip flopping. John, I'm gonna moderate you to take care of this room because I may have to jump out real quick, and I just want to have it covered in case I do. And Hakima, I'm gonna moderate you too. Okay. That way, if I have to jump out, you guys have got the room. You know the rules.
There's no easy way to see this, but I look at Islam like a virus that needs to die.
Yeah, like
No, definitely Islam is a weapon. It's a weapon used around chaos in Western countries so you can push back with some regulations. So it's a way to create states of emergency. I mean, we are seeing this in Europe. It's completely out of control. In my case here in Rome and Milan, and all the cities that we have in Paris, Brussels, Berlin, it's out of control. So it's a
what's out of control?
What?
What's out of control?
The behavior of illegal Muslims and legal Muslims. Illegal immigrants and illegal immigrants, Muslim immigrants in the streets. They're destroying things. They're creating lots of chaos, crazy stuff. It's raping kids, killing people, stealing, all sorts of shit. All sorts of stuff. And an example in Berlin, they're 53% of the population. In Brussels, they're close to 80%. So you can see, people who control the borders, they allow them in because they have a political agenda to fulfill. And it's pretty easy to understand. You can use them as a weapon against your own population, so that you can declare martial law, martial law. Basically, it's important to aspire a lot of control.
Okay, like the statistics you gave were wrong.
Sure, of course. Ask ChatGPT what's the percentage of Muslims in Berlin.
89%. 89% in Berlin and 25 to 30% in Brussels.
Well,
Okay, but you ask ChatGPT what its sources are, and if it's lying to you. Don't just ask it.
I can ask them things that you guys. Like Tommy Robinson's not a good source, I can tell you that.
Professor, I'm sorry to cut you off, but you don't need to speculate. You can come here and see. You can come to Europe. You can come to Paris. You can come home. You can see with your own eyes. You see, it's like it's a dumpster. It's a filthy, fucked up situation in Europe. It's disgusting.
And are you guys doing everything you can to help them integrate and adapt culturally? I don't think so.
No. We're doing everything we can not to let them integrate with us.
Oh, exactly.
So,
that's the problem.
Yeah, but no.
What do you expect?
Wait a second.
If you ostracize people, you push them down, and then you blame them for being there. Like that's self-defeating.
But the best part, do you know who actually imported these people from North Africa into Sicily, and then they spread them all across Europe, all scattered of them all over Europe? It's the fucking mafia. It's the fucking Italian mafia, And this. Listen. And of course we don't want to. You can't mix oil with water. You can't.
Well, what's their motive? What's their motive of the Italian mafia to import Muslim migrants?
The Italian mafia is just a tool. It's just a tool for the European Union to smuggle immigrants inside of Europe, so then they can create chaos, and then they can create a pushback for this chaos. And of course, they're going to pass legislations. One second, they're going to pass legislations that normally would never pass. People would never accept this. But through this tool of the migrants, you can stir up enough chaos and destruction so that you can justify the consecutive acts upon the populated locals and both locals and immigrants.
Like, what is the motive of the European Union? Do you force integration,
Go back to the
multiculturalism, or something?
mafia. He deflected the question. What's the motivation of the mafia? Because I think you were spot on.
Well, he passed it off to the European Union.
I know, but go back to the mafia. Come on, give us an explanation of how the mafia is motivated to do this.
You asking me, William?
I'm just saying, he asked you a question, you deflected. I'm just being the devil's advocate saying, hey, answer his question before you deflect.
No.
You be doing that.
Of course,
He said they're just a tool for the European Union, right? And so.
Yeah, but the tool has to want to be a tool, right? Are they getting money out of it? Like, what is their motivation? To restore the pure ethnic of their country, which they tend to believe in more than anything. At least the mafia people I've ever worked for, man, which has been, I don't know, the Russian mob, the Italian mob, all here in Los Angeles, mind you. But Los Angeles is pretty powerful when it comes to mobs. But all the mobs I've ever worked for, they believed in purity, not in destabilization, but in control of the population, mostly through purity. I mean, try and date an Italian mobster princess. See where that gets you.
Well, you would think they'd be opposed to that,
They wouldn't be opposed to it. That's my point.
There's a lot of money involved in this, and of course, if you smuggle, it's around between 3,000 euros to 5,000 euros per immigrant, illegal immigrant, smuggled into Europe through Sicily, and of course, this is controlled by 'Ndrangheta, Cosa Nostra, and all this stuff, of course, and everybody knows.
How do they make money? I'm trying to understand.
How do they make money?
Coyotes. They're coyotes.
No, they
Who's paying them?
Who's
The people themselves, the illegal immigrants themselves.
I thought they were poor and stuff.
No. Wait a second. It's both the illegals and also the European Union. They give a lot of incentives per se to NGOs. All these beautiful associations, leftist type of associations that take care of migrants. Of course, they treat them like cattle.
Okay, well, listen, this is a fascinating conversation. I feel like it's been, touched on enough. As a moderator, I just want to get us back to the topic, which is Project 2025. So I asked Grok, I said, give me the 30 most controversial parts of Project 2025. This is what Grok says. Eliminate marriage penalties and welfare tax, work requirements for food stamps, delete LGBTQ DEI abortion terms from rules, outlaw pornography, imprison producers, cut funds to non-parental rights schools, remove CRT gender ideology curricula, end minor sex reassignment as abuse, protect unborn, ban abortion funding, promote adoption over abortion, fire unaccountable bureaucrats, close corrupt offices, stop woke propaganda in the government, end military social experiments, focus military on defeating China, seal borders, stop illegal immigration, ban Confucius Institutes and TikTok, end China economic ties, restore U.S. manufacturing, assert energy dominance, defend First Amendment versus big tech, pro-growth tax regulations reform, enforce antitrust on monopolies, expand non-public education, end crony corruption, abolish Export-Import Bank, reform the Federal Reserve, restrict environmental regulations for energy, limit the education department in classrooms, limit the Department of Justice on trans issues, reverse mask and vaccine mandates. Those are the 30 most controversial parts of Project 2025.
Oh my God, that's so evil. How could you want any of that? That's just, unbelievably wrong.
I mean, I'm done with all those things. I mean, I want to reduce crime. I want to, get people healthy. I want to reduce corruption. But all these, of course, Grok would portray it that way. All these sexual, wedge issues and stuff. It's just. Why would you trust Grok to portray it accurately to begin with? Of course, it's going to be. Oh, Grok's been off the hook this past week and a half, man.
It's trained on X, right? Which platforms Nazis and far-right people.
Yeah, it's been pretty funny.
Did Grok misrepresent the goals of Project 2025?
Absolutely.
It was a list of those things. So what? I mean, a list.
Like that might be how it's framed, but what it's actually doing is something completely different.
It's a list. How does that framing make any difference?
Like that's what they see it doing, but what it's actually doing could be something different.
So on top of that, I want to say, like, if you're on there, like, look at the ads that you're shown when you go to Elon's thing, to his X profile, and I mean they're just so ironic and a little bit like tongue in cheek. I mean, he's definitely prompting something over there. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but
I mean, the fucking thing called itself a Mega Hitler, and it sounded like Elon himself, you know, recent times when they changed the settings on Grok. It was LARPing as Mecha Hitler.
LARPing, yeah. It's so funny.
I mean, John, you input list the 25 top most controversial aspects of Project 20 or goals. I forget the word you use of Project 2025. So I don't know if you put in list the 25 of Project 2025's goals, it might come up with something different, but there's still goals of it. Yeah, I don't know what I heard. Everybody did. He provided value to the country that people took advantage of and improved their life. Yet somehow he's on the back. Yeah, no, that's a case that shows why capitalism works, and it shows that he was smarter than everyone else, and he earned it. So I'm sorry, I understand. Vesper, you and I will never agree on this. I mean,
it doesn't take intelligence to like use monopolistic practices, exploit workers, use political influence that limits competition, you know, prioritizing profit over ethical and public considerations. No, it just takes.
Well, you tried.
Like attitudes.
You tried and then get back to us and tell us whether or not it tastes healthy.
They're brilliant scientists, and nobody else could come up with their invention. Therefore, they deserve to monopolize the market.
Yeah, well, actually, under our rules, yeah, why not? You're the first one.
We have antitrust laws, right? Anti-monopoly laws for a reason.
Look, and in the end, guess what? Edison came up with electricity and found a way to capitalize on that.
Yeah, so California Edison, where I'm at, it's a monopoly, right? And they don't update their infrastructure, which leads to fires and stuff.
Well,
because they don't have to, because they have government favors and whatever.
How many lawsuits are filed against them?
They can afford to pay lawyers that they can fight it off.
Yeah, they can. And you're pointing out
they're immune from prosecution.
Yeah, and I wouldn't go that far. But
you need like a third-party government, like the UN, to come in and fix things.
Yeah, but see, you're talking about these specific examples and not speaking to what I spoke about, which is the fact that these people became rich and they created companies that became immensely large and profitable because we gave them our money willingly, because they provided something.
Yeah, I get your point.
Yeah, because they were smarter than other people.
Well, yeah, they might have started out as brilliant entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. But they gained capital, and they used the capital to influence government to stay in power unfairly.
And they also use that capital to ensure their employees retain their jobs and that the company continued and that the consumers who consume that product to continue to get it. So it depends. Look. I understand your perspective, that Vesper, but and no system is perfect. But
I mean, it defeats the purpose of free market capitalism to monopolize and become like a government unto yourself, right?
Yeah, well, and as we pointed out, in spite of all the wealth that Rockefeller acquired, he was powerless to fight the onslaught of electricity. So in the end, the market and the free market and the ability to the environment in which the United States created to foster that inventions and research and all of that.
They're oil barons, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't most electricity produced through using oil today?
Still is.
So how did electricity harm them? The advent of it seems like it would have benefited them.
Well, it harmed Rockefeller in that his main business was providing. I forget what the U.S. or I don't know what the U.S. population was at the time, but it harmed that market for sure. Now, if he shifted into when the automobile was created, oops, there we go again. Now we found another market. But you don't just magically turn oil into gasoline either.
Yeah. It's a refinement process.
By the way, it just came to mind. If you look it up, there's a plant in Brazil that is making. First of all, they've got a windmill there, so it's zero carbon footprint.
Okay, but hold on. Don't you see the demonization of green energy?
Say that again?
Don't you see the demonization of green energy going on?
Well,
by oil companies and stuff.
Well,
by the rate.
Of course.
It's what do they think they're I don't know, hippies or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to get into if somebody else wants to talk about that, but I don't.
It's going to be more expensive, and
Yeah, well, I was just going to say they're making gasoline out of the CO2 that they pull out of the air, and right now it costs $60 a gallon. If they can mass produce that, the price of gasoline would go down, and then we wouldn't need to pull oil out of the ground as much. You still need oil for various reasons, but certainly that would be a step in the right direction. Now, if a company takes advantage of that, that would be a disruptive technology, and once again, you would see the markets change.
You remember Trump saying all the windmills kill birds and the whales hate them. Trying to downplay the building of.
Well, I just have to say, I am a whale psychic. I regularly communicate with whales, and they really do hate the whales. I mean, they're just so pissed off about them. You can't believe it.
It's such a weird comment to me.
Vesper.
How do you know I'm not telling the truth, though, Vesper? Come on.
Vesper.
I could be a whale psychic, so.
Vesper, how is it green energy if it doesn't make a profit?
Oh, you mean green as in money green?
No, what I'm saying is if taxpayers have to borrow to spend on it and it doesn't make a profit in the process of itself, isn't that technically just another tax on the people and not green? It's just a scheme for wealth redistribution or inefficiency.
Right?
Is it an
It's
investment?
that
Is
will
it
eventually
an?
pay off.
But is it a solid investment?
I would say so. I don't think runaway carbon emissions is good for the planet, which will cost us like trillions to try to fix in the future. I would think the worse it is.
I know, but what I'm saying is in the inefficiencies itself, if you don't enhance the carbon emission, or the carbon escape, and in terms of efficient energy with what we have, isn't that the bigger problem? We're wasting our money on inefficient production and R&D, et cetera.
Trying to see your point. It could like cost more energy to produce. You're saying like energy in the form of money, and therefore not be worth it.
No, ethanol would be like a good example that Archer Daniels Midland, they get, huge tax credits for producing ethanol using corn blended fuel, but that in itself is an inefficiency because the government is doing the subsidies. So they wouldn't do that business unless the government was, redistributing from borrowing and spending and taxpayers. So what I'm saying is if you want real efficiency and real, if you want a real new energy sufficient system that doesn't poison the planet, by the government doing what they're doing, they're not creating opportunities for new development because they're wasting it on basically a forced system which is not as efficient as otherwise.
Well, I think there's maybe no incentive otherwise without subsidies, right? Because the powers that be want to maintain things the way they are. Like, why would an oil company invest in green energy? Why would they put themselves out of business, right?
Well, when you say green energy, it turns out it's not just the energy or actual, industrial applications and industrial operations. A lot of this bullshit in in the Green New Bill is probably green new energy education and green new energy education grants and scholarships for research that have nothing to do with anything to do with engineering or anything in the physical world. It's all just a bunch of subjective bullshit.
Is it not a good investment to research green energy and figure out how to do it in a cost-effective manner and save the world?
I'm just saying that, we spend $88 billion a month in this country on education at 1.4 trillion a year in education. I'm just sure that in the Green New Education Bill that AOC and other Democrats wanted to pass, a lot of that spending was on education.
Yeah, education pays for itself, I would think, in emerging economies and stuff.
And to be honest, John, this just feels like a conspiracy theory to me. Like we're going to make the government control the weather, it's like, we're going to control the weather of the entire planet. You just sound like a conspiracy theory, but like for the left, honestly.
Talking to me, or?
Yeah. Like, how are we going to control the motherfucking weather? It's impossible.
I mean, we can mitigate the damage by switching to a green energy alternatives.
You sound like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who says, space lasers from outer space. We're going to control the weather by tax incentives? I don't know, man. Doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Joe B., do you think $88 billion a month is too much in education or too little?
Not enough accountability. But I wanted to talk about E85 fuel in my backyard. Yeah, it's going to take over a lot of the fuels y'all are using.
And, the craziest part as well is, like, in Germany, they shut down nuclear power plants, which are the most sort of profitable ways of earning, like making energy. Like, nuclear power plants are the way to go if you're trying to prevent carbon dioxide being spewed into the atmosphere.
People do have some irrational fears around nuclear energy compared to the technology which is available today, I would say. So we're out to making it safer and stuff.
Like even China right now is investing heavily into thorium reactors. They're building one. Yeah, so it's like, come on, guys. Like, if you're a leftist, you should be pushing like nuclear reactors everywhere in America.
Well, people need to be educated on it. Thus, fund education.
May I remind you, Yucca Mountain?
Like, hey, we got this safe alternative now, guys. It's not
but
like it used to be. There's not going to be another Chernobyl or Fukushima or whatever.
3 Mile Island.
Yeah, but Chris, what do you want? What do you want the government to fund nuclear facility?
No. If it's profitable, let them do it. I don't want anything to be subsidized.
But
not everything is about profit, though.
The electric grid is already.
Life itself is capitalism, man. Like, death is the final arbiter of what we do. Living is energy exchange, ATP cycles in the cell. Like, everything is energy exchange.
Well,
but what do you do with the waste?
That's what I was bringing up, the thorium reactors. There is no waste.
John, we all going to have UBIs and universal basic incomes. We're all going to be connected to the cloud, through the Internet of Things and Internet of Bodies, 6th generation biosensors. And so there's not much to say to talk about spending, because they can spend whatever the fuck they want, because they will change the system to the CDCs. And you will have no say in what the government will do, because it's basically going to be like the social credit score in China, and you will have the system like WeChat, and everything's going to be weighted on the WeChat American version.
We already have the credit card scores. I think that's a pretty good, social.
No, but the credit cards work differently. The tokens, so they're not cumulable. So, for example, if I pay you, if you're going to be paid, let's say, for 10 tokens on the month of January, the month of February is going to be still 10 tokens. If you don't spend them, you can't accumulate them. And they're going to be deducted automatically if you, example, jaywalk, or if you do whatever. Or if you talk bad about a certain project, whatever, because of course everything's going to be connected in a constant context of a smart city. Your whole body is going to be connected. Yeah.
Like Palantir, right?
Correct. Exactly. So that's why actually Trump invested heavily, $800 billion into the Project Stargate that passes the data, that collects the data through Palantir, which has, by the way, also has servers in Tel Aviv. And people don't talk about this. We want to talk about spending. We want to talk about the borrowing. No, let's talk about CBDCs, guys. They're coming next year, 2026. And actually, it's going to be October 1st, 2025 for us in Europe. This is the future.
Well, I'm just wondering, does it give you anxiety, Rick?
No, I just acknowledge what's going on. And so I hear you talking. I respect it. Of course, I respect it. But I think that's the main thing to talk about for me, of course.
Spying on people for like political purposes or whatever. Gather like illegally harvesting data and stuff. That's
like Russiagate, right?
Wasn't there just a recent multidisciplinary study that showed Russian interference happened in elections?
I agree.
It was in the news.
Ali, I'm reading what you put in the chat, and I agree that Alan's analogy is, laughable, and Alan should be ashamed of himself for. But the thing is, he did agree with what I said after he said he didn't agree with me. So I think I made my point about deferring taxes to the national debt.
I think fundamentally capitalism is a good thing in principle. I have nothing against it, actually. And also, of course, a lot of credit ought to be given to business, individual, and the corporation who risk money and time to develop the products and do what they do to make money. There's no question about it. That's great. That's fine. And so because of this economic system,